So, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but solar stocks got a little bit of a pop.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A little bit.
As hot as the surface of the sun, those stocks.
Congress gave them a Christmas present.
Well,
They
it's
extended
season
the
of
tax
giving.
credits. Yeah. God bless us,
Well, they
everyone.
give the oil industry
the
an export
Republicans had to
lift.
give something to the Democrats. if
You
they
get
were-
a subsidy, and
Yeah,
you get a
fair
subsidy.
enough. They had to give and take here.
The extension actually went a little bit further out than I thought. It goes into the 2020s or something.
Yeah.
And even beyond. So this is the proposed
Give
deal.
us the
that's-
primer.
Yeah. This is the what is it? I guess you could say the proposed bill that's on the omnibus spending. What's been added? It's basically, so instead of the investment tax credit at 30%, basically getting chopped for all residential in 2017 and down to 10% for commercial, it's being extended all the way out to 2019 at that 30% rate for both. And then in 2020 it goes down a few percentage points. 2021 it goes down a little further, and then at 2021 it goes down to 10%.
Which is what it should have done in
Right,
2016,
but that's for
right?
both. It's going to be for residential and commercial. 10% for what appears to be perpetuity. They don't seem to have a real limit on when that 10% subsidy goes down. So,
Taylor, did this throw off any Excel spreadsheets in anybody's assumptions for their
It
businesses?
sure seems so. If you saw Solar City sell off about 50% just a few weeks ago, and now it's up 100% back to where it was. So yeah, some people didn't see this coming because this was looming over everyone's head. This tax credit cut. Now they're getting it back for a heck of a lot longer than I think anybody would have expected. But it's amazing what they can stuff inside of a bill that has to pass Congress before it shuts down.
Because that was a $1.1 trillion spending
Yeah, it was a
bill,
big
I
one.
think. Yeah. So
and just give everybody enough to sweeten the pot a little bit to
Yeah.
kind of keep it going.
Get the yes
But
votes.
one of the interesting things, like you were saying, that big sell-off in Solar City, one of the reasons that it did have that sell-off was on its most recent earnings, they were talking about kind of scaling back growth
Right,
and
yeah.
working within their cash flows.
They were
And it
talking
was
about
almost-
actually making a profit, but it sold off.
It was kind of
surprisingly.
they
it was
lowered their
an-
growth profiles. To
But
those of you
still.
didn't hear, it was like no, but they lowered it. But they was like we're only going to grow at 60% a year. or
Yeah, it was
something.
kind of an admission that the federal tax credit in 2017 was going to have a pretty large
Right.
impact, and we're going to try to adjust our business model before it got there, before just kind of like driving to the very edge of the cliff at 60 miles an hour and then trying to hit the brakes. They were trying to tap it before it actually happened.
Did you guys may or may not know the answer to this, but
Thanks for the
I feel like I'm
confidence.
about to get a Congress isn't that smart comment. But did anybody look when picking the year that these would drop to the 10 or the 0% that they were going to drop to next year? Just about efficiencies of solar cells and everything. Like by the end of the decade, we think these will actually be competitive to where we don't need to subsidize them.
I really doubt somebody in Congress would
Again,
like that.
that's
That
Not
might
because
be,
they're stupid, because this isn't their avenue of expertise. I mean, I don't know if solar experts could
yeah,
have
you
predicted.
maybe like a solar lobbyist might have been able to kind of
Sell
chirp
'em
somebody
on
in
that.
somebody's ear, but I really have a hard time thinking that members of Congress are looking really
So they pick these years out of
really
their hat.
intently
Yeah.
looking at cost per kilowatt hour of
Yeah.
installation or cost per kilowatt for an installation of a solar panel. Be like, yeah, if we start to taper at this rate, we'll be good.
I'm giving them too much credit. I'm sorry.
It's pretty interesting at the Paris conference and also another speech recently. Elon Musk was talking about if you just took a small corner of Nevada and covered it completely in solar panels, you could power the entire United States.
What about
just-
transmission lines?
or-
That's a problem.
That's the
right?
problem. So if you imagine just breaking that up and putting it in four corners of the United States, the same amount, the same acreage.
Maine is not a good place to put solar panels.
Well, New Jersey's one of the biggest solar states in the country in terms of like growth over the
Yeah.
last 5-10 years. So it's clearly somewhere in the Northeast we could do it. But and then this other article I read said that if you just covered the entirety of Spain in solar panels,
Europe's good to go.
you power the entire world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's all it
Spain.
takes
Wow.
at the efficiency we're at now. So imagine if they get more efficient.
Which is, I don't know, at best 23%, I think.
Yeah, something like
Give
that.
or take.
Yeah.
Cool.